Okay, our jargon term for today is ASD. I love that sometimes we traipse into alphabet land, especially when we're talking at schools. But this is something that's really important that we understand in its full sense. So what is ASD? Our actual definition, ASD is Autism Spectrum Disorder. This, in the past, has included a diagnosis of PDD-NOS, autistic disorder, or Asperger syndrome. All of these things now have come under the same umbrella. We really, technically, at this point in the game, there are still many people who identify themselves as being Aspies or having Asperger's syndrome. But the truth is that in the new DSM V, that designation no longer exists. We now are referring to everyone as having autism spectrum disorder, and that aspect of it is very important. Moving on to our working definition, again, under the same umbrella, autism, PDD-NOS, or Asperger syndrome. The criteria has changed, and many of you have been writing in and saying we're being asked to go get a diagnosis, a confirmation diagnosis under the new diagnosis. If you have more interest about that, during last week's Ask Dr. Doreen addressed those concerns and let our viewers know why that's happening and why you shouldn't be terrified of that happening. That in reality, that's a good thing, going and checking from time to time and seeing where you are or where your child is ideally what you would do to get to that progress. You can bring up a lot of emotion about, is my child still going to qualify for a diagnosis? Here's the thing about that. It's a very dicey thing because it's a quality problem, right? We do know that some individuals will progress to the point that they no longer qualify for a diagnosis. Do take the opportunity to watch what Dr. Doreen said about that, because there is room on the new in the new criteria for our kids who are doing well but still have a disorder, that they still need help and still need support and still need those services. So don't be afraid to go in and get checked from time to time for a diagnosis. We have a whole series of shows that we did with Dr. Gramsche also to explain the DSM V criteria, and I would point you to that if you're curious about what it now takes to get a diagnosis. All right, having said all of that, it is so important that we acknowledge that when we're talking about ASD, we're talking about a disorder, that it is a significant enough issue, a significant enough set of challenges that the individual is facing, that it's preventing them from being able to do things that are independent or things that are pursuit of happiness, things that they want to do. If somebody says, for instance, I'm not interested in having friends, I don't want to make friends, it's not causing me any difficulty to not have friends, I'm not interested in having a social life, I love my job, I'm able to do my job, I'm able to take care of myself, and I'm not interested in being a social animal, that's not a disorder. There's nothing disorder about that. That's a choice that somebody's making. They're saying, I don't want to do that, and the rest of my life is functioning just fine. So when we talk about a disorder, we're talking about something that prevents people from being able to do the things that they want to do. Now, let's case in point, my son, who has difficulty sometimes making friends, right? That's difficult for him. He needs help, he needs support to be able to do that, but he wants them. He wants them in the worst way, and it's upsetting to him when he can't connect with somebody to make that connection, to make a friend. And in his life, that is a deficit for him, and he has enough of those things that he still qualifies as having a disorder. People can improve to the point where they don't qualify for having the disorder, but they may still have some aspects of an autism diagnosis, but it's not at the level of a disorder. Hopefully that will set you up for success in some of the things that we're going to be talking about this week. But ASD stands for Autism Spectrum Disorder.